What's up, guys? John here, back with another one for you. This one, I got another doozy of a PHP comment here. So, as usual, going to go through it. I don't think I've quite addressed this one specifically here, so I want to address this. So here's the comment. It says 80% plus of the web is not powered by PHP. Let's just put aside that the W3C site has PHP's usage higher than other sites put it. Okay, so first off, I want to address that because there's true to this. There's other sites out there that have different numbers and so forth, and you know they're still pretty high. I mean, I think Google estimated it as high as 55%. At the end of the day, the point of the number is that it's really, really high. Like, it's not that it's this exact specific number, it's that it's a really high number, and it's way higher than any of the other sort of server-side languages out there. The W3C tech site uses it. What it says is it's 83% of the websites that we know, whose server-side language we know. And so we sort of just extrapolate that out to the rest of the web, but that may not be 100% accurate. But regardless, nobody denies that the usage rate is really, really high, whatever the exact figure happens to be. Another site I saw estimated that there's about 50 million sites that are using P, which is about double the number of WordPress. And it's estimated that WordPress runs on, I think, 29 to 30% of sites. And that seems to be a fairly accepted number. So again, whatever the number ultimately is, it's high, which is the point. But let me continue with what he's saying here. But let's just consider that 80% figure. In those stats, all websites count the same. So one WordPress blog that has not updated in 10 years and gets 10 hits a week counts the same as YouTube getting billions of hits. You see the problem with that. In reality, when measured by what counts, usage/traffic, most of the web is not powered by PHP. Sure, a decent chunk is, but that is all. It's nowhere near 80%, which is why the 80% doesn't translate to jobs when you compare it to languages that supposedly only account for less than 1% of the web. So, this sort of seems to be the new thing among PHP haters. They really want to say that PHP is dead, and when you point out the usage statistics and showing that it's being used on 80% of websites or 60% or 50% or whatever the actual number is, they suddenly pivot to, well, but it's all about the traffic. And you notice he uses the word when measured by what counts. Well, who determined that the only thing that counts is usage and traffic? Where did that suddenly come from? Okay, so again, it's just sort of convenient that they would move to this number when the other number doesn't fit them. To me, you should sort of just take all of it into account. And I'll forget that Slack isn't run on PHP, or Etsy or Flickr, which are very high traffic websites. I'll forget that those aren't run on PHP. And I'll even leave out Facebook and Wikipedia, since they run on HHVM and the hack language is involved, and hack is kind of PHP. It's built on PHP or derived from PHP, but it's not really PHP. But those sites clearly have their roots in PHP. But we'll ignore those. We'll also ignore WordPress and Drupal, who together boast sites like whitehouse.gov and ncaa.com and Tesla, which are very high traffic websites. No, we'll just conveniently ignore all of those. Instead, what I will do is I will just go to how stupid this argument is on its face. And the way that I want you to think about this is, when I freelanced, I built membership sites for people and using WordPress. And I once built a membership site for a famous blogger named Michael Hyatt, this membership site right here. Now, they've since changed it since I built it, so this isn't the exact site that I built. But this membership site, I first built the first incarnation of this. And the site grew. They charged at that time about $30 a month. I'm not exactly sure what they charge now. I think it's probably more, but this site grew to several thousand members while I was there, all paying $30 a month. And it eventually became a 7-figure site. He had at that time a staff of around 10 or so people, probably more now. And in the time that I was there working on the site, they paid me, I'm going off memory, but probably somewhere between $30,000 and $40,000 in the time that I was there working on the site. But because it was a membership site that had a few thousand members, and they release content, their week content once a week. On a day-to-day basis, this at most might get a few hundred visits, or maybe on a release day a few thousand. But in the grand scheme of things, if you compare that to YouTube or Google or Facebook or any of the other sites out there, I mean, it's nowhere near the amount of traffic they get. So it's not some massively trafficked website. And if you were to throw this in there with this idea of traffic and usage is all that matters, well, this site would be, in your estimation, a site that doesn't matter. Yet, it's a 7-figure website. It paid me very, very well in the time that I was there, and I made a bunch of money from it. So, who cares if it wasn't a high-trafficked website? Did that make their money that they paid me less green? Does this make this not count as a real site? So the point is, judging a site based solely on the amount of traffic it gets is an incredibly dumb way of assessing its potential to employ you, which is ultimately what we're after. There are lots of really low traffic websites that make bank and employ lots of people and pay really well. The fact of the matter is, PHP is used by really high traffic websites. Its usage statistics are much higher than any other server-side language, and it has gotten dramatically better in PHP 7. So it's not going anywhere, no matter how loudly you shriek about it or how badly you want it to go away. It's going to be here. It's going to be here, I think, for the long haul. And if it does eventually ever go away, it's going to be a long, slow process because it is so embedded into the fabric of the web. So again, I just think this focus, this switch to focusing on traffic is silly. Especially, again, there's lots of high traffic websites out there that use PHP and use it just fine. So it doesn't make a ton of sense. And there's plenty of low traffic websites that are real websites that will pay you and pay you well. So anyway, if you're not one of these PHP hating scrubs and you want to learn PHP and scoop up all the jobs that they apparently are too good for, then I've got over 20 hours of PHP training that you can dig into. Just head on over to johnmorrisonline.com/PHP. That'll give you an exclusive 2-month no-cost trial of Skillshare. You'll get full access to my entire library of courses, plus the entire library of over 20,000 plus courses there on Skillshare. Full access for that 2 months. You can take all the training you want, cancel anytime before the 2 months is up, and you never pay a penny. So not a bad deal, but ultimately up to you. If you're interested in that, again, johnmorrisonline.com/PHP. But whatever you do, don't let the PHP haters get to you. It's a real language. It's a language that's going to be here. It's a language where there's plenty of potential for work out there, both tech job wise and in the PHP space. I think is actually probably going to see a little bit of a resurgence here over the next few years. So don't be afraid of it. Dig into it, learn it, and get out there and get work for it. All right, guys, that'll do it for this one. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you next time.